After all this time, Ivan Demidov has finally made his NHL debut, and ladies and gentlemen, it was electric. The hype was absolutely intense in Montreal, so much attention towards him, but somehow he was able to succeed it. And today we're going to be breaking down Ivan Demidov's first game in the NHL, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So make sure you watch till the end to see just how good Ivan Demidov's first game was and what we could see in the future. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content just like this all throughout the year. Now before we get started today, I want to first talk about today's sponsor in Exter. Now, if you're like me, you've probably had a crappy old wallet that you've had for 10 years that's completely falling apart. But with Exter, their wallets are finally crafted and made to last, which I appreciate. Now, Exter does have your old-fashioned leather wallets, but they also have aluminum ones which feel solid and sturdy. My favorite part about the Exter wallets, though, is just how easy it is to use. Just use this clamp on the side and your cards pop out just like that. Plus, if you want to store money or anything on the side, you got the Exter strap as well to keep it protected. But on top of being RFID protected, the pop-up mechanism being so slim as well in its design, one of the most useful features as well is the Finder card. With this Finder card, all you need to do is pair it to your phone, and whether it gets lost or stolen, you'll be able to find it again. I'm really glad that Exter sent me this new wallet though, because my old one is going to need a retirement home here soon. If you guys want to upgrade to an Exter wallet just like me, you can enjoy 30% off until May 19th, just using promo code GRAVITEH, GRAVITEH, at checkout to get an additional 10% savings as well. A big thank you to Exter Wallets for sponsoring today's video, and let's get right back into it. Now, the thing is, we've seen a lot of rookies coming into the NHL in this second half of the season as seasons end, and we see rookies finish their contracts. We've seen a lot of cores jump into the NHL, and it's pretty hard to make an immediate impact, especially for a team that's likely to make the playoffs. I mean, you have an example here in Ryan Leonard, still one of the best prospects in the NHL, but he's somebody that has struggled coming up to this Caps team, getting a consistent role, and in 7 games just has 1 empty net goal for 1 point. I don't think there's any cause for concern, especially with how stacked the Caps are. It's hard to find those true minutes and actually get a big opportunity, but I think in Ivan Demidov's case, it's truly showing how special he is already. Because as you can see, being a year younger than Ryan Leonard, in his first game, he had 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points, and there were some growing pains, I would say, some things to work on for the future, but overall, it was about as good of an offensive game as you could have hoped for. Now, coming in, I wasn't really sure what to expect out of this debut game, especially considering Demidov's placement in the lineup. He was on the second power play, he was on the third line with Newhook and Armia, 2 guys that aren't offensive superstars by any means. They can pull their own weight at times, but in Demidov's case, he wasn't immediately on that first line or anything. He had to really work for the minutes he would receive. And even though there were a couple issues to work on in this game, I would say, overall, I think he exceeded really any expectation. First things first, the Bell Center was absolutely incredible. 2 minutes into the game in his first NHL shift, the whole arena is roaring and shouting, Demidov, Demidov, unreal.
And listen to the crowd here at the Bell Center, Demidov.
But I believe on his very next shift, 6 minutes into the first period, he was already making an immediate impact. You can see the pressure along the wall and how he's able to escape that with his speed, the creativity as well with the little deke there to get it in front of Newhook, and already in the first period of his career, he has a point. Thankfully, Newhook actually finished here because it was a great setup. And you can tell how much his teammates were loving this moment. I mean, it was a special play, and really the hype from Demidov as well was so cool to see. My favorite part of this game and what Demidov was able to show basically immediately was the playmaking, the creativity, and the vision that he has out there. It's so much fun to watch. Obviously, you saw that on the assist, but on this play where Demidov has the puck out deep, he's able to find Newhook right behind him, make a little look, and make that pass pretty effortlessly. And then later in that first period, with the Habs still up 1-0, 6 minutes left in the first, we had just this very innocent play where Mike Matheson throws the puck down, it gets loose, and then a weird bounce finds Demidov, and he's right there with the perfect deke to get almost like a breakaway goal. A very strange one and a really lucky setup, but in Demidov's case, he was able to maximize it and get his first NHL goal. I'm honestly surprised the roof didn't blow off the Bell Center. This was so fun to see, and especially after already a great period, this was really the cherry on top. Not a bad start for the kid, eh? In his first NHL period, really 14 minutes in, already a primary assist, which was a pretty nice one, and of course a goal there. Big time impact already for the Habs, and we would see as throughout really this whole game how much Demidov was just clearing the rest of this Montreal lineup. It was honestly kind of disturbing. It's funny how almost immediately as Demidov came into the team, he made everybody else look like AHLers. It was kind of rough to see from Montreal's side of things, but in Demidov's case, the talent was pretty evident already. Now, even though I would say the first period was the best period of Demidov in this game, I also liked a few moments outside of it. There was this 4-on-4 sequence in middle way through the second, which I adored. As you can see, the puck gets dumped in around the boards. He's able to collect it, but some big pressure there by Kaiser. But Demidov's still able to reclaim that puck, get around the pressure, and make an expertly placed pass to Carrier to set up that feed. And then you had this play, which I thought was just so cool. I didn't even realize what happened at the time, but you have this puck placed by Newhook, and then Demidov is able to basically just place it on a platter to Carrier behind him, and then the shot is able to come from that. I didn't realize until the replay that Demidov passed it behind him to Carrier, but that type of next level thinking is what Demidov's really done throughout his whole hockey career. One of the main reasons why I was so excited to see Demidov go to the Habs in the first place was because of Marty St. Louis' systems and just how much some of the creativity in the offense has been flourishing in other younger players. You got players like Cole Caulfield, Lane Hudson this year, guys that have been able to do exactly what they want out there and not really worry about playing these expert defensive games that really aren't their style. In Demidov's case, I think there were some times here defensively, especially in the back check, and as people have noted, especially on that third goal by Chicago, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. But I think in Demidov's case, he is an offensive forward. That is what he is going to be making his money for, and he was exactly as advertised for this Montreal team. Now let's talk about that goals against, which I think is getting talked about a lot on Twitter, at least from what I've seen. But I think even though Demidov is at fault a little bit there, I think it was just a complete breakdown of this Habs defense completely. Before this, it was a great offensive shift for Lane Hudson, Demidov. They were cycling and creating a lot together early in this third period, but of course you have the shot by Demidov, which gets blocked there, really good block, but I think this was really just a great play by Landon Slaggert. You have Lane Hudson trying to attack him here, and you can see Demidov not putting in the absolute 100% hustle, and the goal against happens there. But I'll be honest, I think this is mostly due to just the jet lag and the jitters around Demidov in his debut as well. I think you also have to factor in that this is his first NHL game. He played quite a bit in it, even for playing on the third line and being slotted in that position. I think in his case, he was probably just gassed at this point, and I would say the third period probably was his weakest period of the game. So sure, if we already see this type of puck watching in game 82 of next year, then I think it might be a little bit of a problem there. But I think in Demidov's case, he was already creating so much, and let's be honest too, even the players that were behind him like Armia weren't putting in the speed necessary to catch up with the play either. So I don't think it's 100% on Demidov to make sure this play gets stifled, because really the defense was all over the place by everybody. Really though, that was the only play I would say in this game where I thought the effort was a true problem. There were a couple of times where maybe the puck would get bounced around and I want to see him be a little bit more aggressive with it, but besides that, I thought he was perfectly fine in that department. Not overwhelmingly good, but I think that is something to also get better as he gets more accustomed to the NHL, as he gets his footing there, especially next year as he's actually able to prepare for an NHL season. Let's also not forget that this was Ivan Demidov's first season playing against pro big competition consistently. Last year, of course, he was an MHL player throughout most of the season. He did get a couple of KHL games, but most of the time he was playing in the MHL. This year, he was a full-time KHL player and fantastic as a rookie there. 49 points in 65 games and great in the playoffs, I thought. But that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a player who was brought into the KHL level for the first time, was also playing a big chunk of KHL playoff games right before this debut for Montreal. So he's probably somebody that already is pretty tired, already is banged up a little bit, and coming into Montreal, I thought with all those things, all those factors, was about as good as you could have expected. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if it was just a stamina issue at this point. And honestly, for a 19-year-old that's done as much as he's done this year, I can totally accept that. But even with that, I still thought he was pretty great against physical competition and pressure in this game for Montreal, and that was one of the biggest things I wanted to see out of him, especially when he was really attacked, when he was really prioritized. He was able to get out of that pressure and escape with speed and space, and that to me is what you saw on that Carrier shift, what he was able to do with the creation of that pass, how he was able to get out of that pressure. He was doing stuff like that all night, and that to me is what I wanted to see out of him most, and that's why I think the stamina issue, especially once it gets a little bit more prepared for next season, is going to be really deadly. Once he's actually prepared for this thing, I think he's going to be really fun to watch. So really, besides that one goal against, I thought it was about as good as you could have gotten it. I would have really liked to see him in the shootout there, but I get it is what it is. I think in Demidov's case, though, how much he was able to be electrified by that Montreal team, by that Montreal crowd, it's obvious that Montreal has tried to pick a lot of players who really are experienced and thrive in that pressure. I think that was a big reason why they selected Juraj Slafkovsky, and you go down the list, players like Jacob Fowler, who have been up in big moments in the USHL before they were drafted. In Demidov's case, he seems to be that type of player who thrives with that pressure, thrives with the attention on him, and especially for the mecca of hockey being Montreal, that's exactly what he needs. And in Demidov's case, if he thrives off the pressure, he's going to get a lot of that in Montreal, but it seems to already be benefiting him at some point. But of course, not going to crown him the best player in the NHL already, but I thought he was absolutely impressive in his first game for Montreal, and honestly, I thought was the Habs' best player. The amount of creation he was doing, the amount of speed he was able to bring for that Habs team. It was just different than so many other of the forwards and really all the players on that Montreal roster already. You can tell how much of a game changer Demidov is going to be already in his first period, and I think that is very exciting. But still, of course, a long runway to go, especially if the Habs were to make the playoffs. We'll definitely get Demidov tested in the playoffs there with the physical competition that he's going to face, especially if it's a team like Washington, for example. And of course, next year, as he potentially goes in a Calder campaign, we're going to see him really show up and really get that consistency going. And if he is able to get that, then I think Demidov is going to be bringing some special attributes for this Habs team. And especially in terms of the offense, the skill, the creativity, it's obvious that it's something that Montreal's needed for a long time now. Players like Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, they bring a lot of special attributes, but I think in Demidov's case, they needed somebody who can push the play so exceptionally like him with the speed and the creativity, and Demidov is exactly what the doctor ordered, really. In terms of impacts really in their NHL debuts, I don't think I've seen somebody so impactful, so important to their team already, maybe since Austin Matthews and his debut with the Leafs. I mean, we're talking about something that special, somebody on that type of level. I don't know if he's going to be the type of goal scorer that Matthews is, but in terms of the creativity, the pace, it was obvious how much Montreal's needed him for so long now. And once they actually get him a center who can finish, hopefully a player like Michael Hage in a couple years, for example, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. I do think that they might still be keeping Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky together on that first line, which creates some interesting questions about what Demidov and his placement will be throughout the rest of this year, but I think it'll work out eventually, and even if he's on the third line, obviously it can still work out for him. It was still pretty baffling on draft day that Demidov ended up falling to 5th overall, but it still continues to be baffling. I mean, players like Seneca, Levzhinov, I think they'll be solid players, and hopefully Kane Lindstrom if he's able to be healthy. But you look at the type of skill that Demidov provides, and still, it was the opinion I had on draft day, and it's the opinion I have now. He's the only player in terms of skill and talent that is close to Macklin Celebrini in that 2024 draft, and he's already proving why. But that is my breakdown on Ivan Demidov's NHL debut. A lot to talk about and a lot of fun to be had, and hopefully we'll see him a lot more in the future for this Habs team, especially this season as he hopefully gets a little bit more accustomed to the NHL level. But I want to know your thoughts down below on all of it. What did you think of Demidov's debut? Was it good? Was it bad? Did it exceed your expectations? Let me know your thoughts down below. And of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos just like this, of course, all throughout the year. Make sure you, of course, share the Ivan Demidov debut thoughts with all your friends out there, especially any Habs fans you guys know, and click on this card for all of my Hockey Prospect Talk right in one playlist. And of course, a big thank you to Extra Wallets for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a fantastic hockey day, and goodbye.